So much better. Well, that's fantastic right there. It's better to gear down a little bit so you can feel the correct motion there. Again, we have an angle of attack that's further downwards because the low point is further ahead.
Yes.
You could feel the contact was as opposite as a drop kick as you could get. It was much cleaner. And the ball has almost no curve leftwards at all. The ball's right on target with no curve. Again, very close to being a straight ball. Hey, this is Steve with HitItLonger.com. I certainly hope you get enough value out of this video that you'll go down, hit the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment cheering on this young man. All right, let's get right into it. So, Jonathan, you have successfully accomplished what most people only dream of, and that's getting your handicap well below scratch, 0.0. Now you're, whatever, +2, +3, +4, somewhere in that range. But you've reported to me that you are having a swing emergency, and all of a sudden the ball is going off the planet. Can you describe the ball flight that you've been experiencing lately?
Starting left, hooking.
Okay.
Off the toe.
Off the toe. So we're getting balls that are kind of the classic pull hook.
Yes.
Maybe a little bit of drop kick on some of them, and a lot of toe contact. So we're going to try to figure out today what is causing the ball to do that, get him back on his way again, get back shooting 65s again, like he's starting to do now, and playing some amazing golf. And the purpose is, like you said, just to get really good.
That's right.
There's no, I don't want to be on tour, I don't want to play in the US Open, I just want to get really good.
That's right.
Because it's fun.
Yep.
That's what it's all about. Okay, so let's watch you hit a few. Look at some of the data from the Trackman. Cool. We'll take a slow-mo video from a couple different angles, just gather all the data that we can, and we'll see if we can figure out this mystery, why the ball is doing what it's doing. In a second. Still sounds a bit toey. We're just replaying this golf swing that he just made, and it looks like nothing can ever go wrong with this golf swing. There's certainly hits a lot of beautiful positions, especially you got to love this follow through. Not a lot of club face. He's actually hitting draws out of a club face that looks like this, so there's not a lot of extra shaft rotation or club face rotation. You can even see it in the exit. Club face is still pointing up to the sky a little bit. So most people would, if their club face looked like this, they'd be slicing the dickens out of it, but he's actually overdrawing it. So there's plenty of squaring force in the system because the hand path works so beautifully around the body to the left. You can see how it kind of disappears out about belly button high. So we got to figure out why the ball would be getting struck a little bit fat, a little bit in the toe. In the worst club, you're saying
longer irons.
The longer irons and up to a 3-wood driver.
Yeah.
And a disaster would be that the ball just hooks uncontrollably left. Are we talking about enough to take a penalty shot potentially, lose a ball?
Maybe one around right now.
Starts getting to be low handicap. You really want to be able to understand your swing so that when stuff starts happening on the course, you can almost predict that it was going to happen.
Yes.
Because once you know your own swing, you can kind of predict how often you're going to miss when you start going off. Usually it's nothing that's surprising. It's like, it's that miss again. But you can plan your round around it, and you can scrap your round and still come in and shoot 70 to 74 or something like that, even when you don't have any swing, because you know how you're going to miss. You can play for it. One important lesson is figure out, understand your swing and how it works and why.
Yes.
That way you can get out of your funk and not always have to need a separate pair of eyes. This is something quick. You can just start working it on the range and fix it that day.
That's right.
And it's kind of important. So we're going to take another video here. This is what iron now?
6.
6 iron. Okay, and this is going to be, if the 9 iron went 150, I'd expect this to go right around 190-ish.
Yep.
Okay, so there's a pretty accurate shot. So I'm waiting for you to produce that shot. Of course, sometimes it just takes putting you under a little more pressure. 10 feet left at 196 carry. Great shot. Okay, so that's getting closer now. You could hear that different. The impact sounded different. You could hear a little bit more grass behind. You could hear a little bit more of a toe strike.
Yes.
So we lost some distance due to a toe strike. And we've got that 30-foot curve. It's only 20 feet left, which is still a very good miss, but I can see the root of what you're talking about now with that shot. We saw it on a few 9s, saw it on a few 6s. You certainly, what's interesting is your miss used to be
Right.
a floaty block, and so what's amazing is that you have someone who's basically hitting baby draws on everything, and yet you see on the screen the exit and how there is so little rotation of the shaft at all that we know there must be plenty of squaring force in the system for the ball to never go right. This is one strength of your swing that you've developed over time now, is that this great hand path is putting all this squaring force into the system, and now you don't really miss right anymore. So got to find this missing piece at why you might have too much squaring force in the system and not quite bottoming out exactly where you want. So while that was a minor error, I can certainly see what the trend is. So we're going to move the camera to the face-on angle because that's where I think we're going to see the issue. Again, I think you're fixed already. And we've talked about this before. I'm going to post your slow-mo video up again on the screen, but I want you to see, for everybody watching, I want you to see how Jonathan's foot tends to do this. If you watch from the down the line angle, there's a lot of plantar flexion this way, driving the knee in. And this move, a lot of people share this, but what it tends to do, it tends to make the rump kind of follow it, and you tend to lose a little bit of hip depth there. And when that happens, it discourages, when you make this move, it's going to discourage the left hip to move this way. It's also going to discourage you from keeping the rump back, and it's going to discourage you from getting your turn of your torso out in front enough. And so the missing pieces here, if you're, what you would say, you might think the root cause would be, hey, you're just not moving laterally along the wall and turning enough. And so the club is bottoming out early. The toe is turning over before it gets to the ball, and it's causing you to toe it and hook it. So you're presenting the toe into the ball. This is really common when somebody isn't quite out in front. They release it well, but they're not rotated and out in front with the hips enough. So normally what I would do with you, if I didn't know better, because I know I've watched you swing so much. Okay, so I'm purposely putting you closer to the right post of this chair so that the people at home, let me grab something here. Okay, so from the face-on view, for people at home, they can see I've left this little stretch of chair, I've left this stretch uncovered. So we know that the best players in the world, they move between 5 and 7 inches laterally while keeping their depth back. So if I put this noodle right here, and I just asked you to take your right arm only and make a half a swing with just your right arm, right there. Now leave the club behind you and go ahead and lift the chair and slide and try to break the noodle in half, there. Just like that. Now that would be where I would first look, is the deficit in the amount of lateral slide that's going on, which is just helping stimulate the turn of the torso through. You're also lifting the chair off the ground 1 inch. So you're performing what we would say the average of all good players does. Lift the chair slightly, and I'm asking you to even laterally move further than you normally would. Now, let's see if you can do that same move with this. So position your foot. First, position the foot there. Now see if you can do it. It's hard. It's hard to get left enough, and it's hard to get back. See, you're already rolling the ankle in differently than you normally would. So see if you can stay in here, just to show everybody how poisonous this move is. Lift your heel higher, but don't let it there. Don't let it roll. Don't let this knee come across. There. Now get there. You can't turn. You're off the. I can see you're off the chair. There's no chance you can lift this. It doesn't go. They don't go together.
No.
So what's going to go together, really going to be at the root cause of all of this, is going to be the action of the right ankle and the right foot is going to be our root cause. That I notice in the video is getting better, but it's still the glaring difference. It's maybe just not better enough yet. And so I think I'm typically seeing you're coming off maybe 1 inch only. Used to be more, but it's way better now. But you can see how that move is discouraging a leftward lateral shift, a butt, in other words, maintaining the same good angle that you created at setup and not standing up and early extending. And that will allow you to go around the corner. That'll get your divot out in front, keep the toe from rolling over. Fat shots will disappear, the left should disappear. We should end up with some slightly lower flighted, cleaner, probably more compressed feeling shots. So what we're after, we'll do that a few more times. You might try it with 2 hands now. The other thing you could also do to encourage the lateral shift is by narrowing at the heels a little bit. And you're gonna see how much easier this is gonna be. Why don't you try it with both hands now, and now lift and slide and rotate. Okay, so I want you to rotate your chest open more as you there, like that. And essentially you're at impact now, and you just had to let go of the wrists. Okay, do that again. And I want to see you build in more chest rotation early, and that's right. So see if you can do that from the get-go on this time, is just rotate. There we go. Okay, so that's going to be the feel there. Why don't you just try to hit some, you might say, pitch shots with the 6-iron first. This is going to be narrower, and with the heel of the right foot rolling inwards rather than lifting the heel so much. And the first one is right off the hosel. So the lesson's over, we've improved. The ball is no longer going off to the left. Perfect. So excellent. Of course, this will happen to anybody. You've got to weather through maybe the first 50 or so, 10, 50, whatever it is, to get through it. And that ball, to my eye, is the first ball with cut spin that you've hit today. Everything else has been starting a little bit right and drawing, because a toe, that's what a toe shot usually looks like. You could have a straight path, but a toe hit is going to start a little right and hook for you. That looked like it was holding against the wind and flying much straighter. And the sound was different. It had a boom, more of a booming sound. Okay, now check your hip. Okay, so at the end of the swing, you can't see it from the face-on necessarily, but there was a gap of about 2 to 3 inches from the left hip to the chair. So what are we talking about at the foot here? Let's show them. We'll do it together. And again, narrower is going to help you make up the deficit going laterally easier. Wide tends to keep your hips tied up in the middle and makes it harder to make that 5 or 6 inch move that we're trying to make. So narrower, and let's show them what the foot's going to do. The foot is going to roll to the inside. You're probably looking for 3 parts in for every 1 part heel up. So it look like this. So really the only part of the shoe that we want to see touching the ground right now is the inside of the big toe. Right here, I'm going to try to get this dirty. But see, the heel's not up that much right now. So we're looking for that foot action. Now, don't forget to encourage the knee to flex. You're looking for the knee to flex almost up adjacent to the front knee. So looking for a lot of knee flexion there. Again, about 3 parts in for every 1 part up. And notice that the heel is slightly in front of the big toe. In other words, we don't want to rotate it this way. That would create a whole different hip action, and shoulder action if we moved the heel counterclockwise around the big toe. So we're moving the foot and the knee just slightly clockwise to 630, just barely in front of the big toe. So let's see a couple more. Now, I want you to focus on the right foot making that motion while the left hip raises the chair. Okay, check your hip. If you can't do it on a 6, what you do is you'll trade in for a 9-iron, even a sand wedge. You'll go slower, slower, slower. Show me an easy one. Roll that foot in and keep the heel down. Okay, very good. Terrific. First time we've got a ball to go to the right. Another strategy you can use for this is swoosh location. So we know we don't need any more swoosh around to the left. We actually have too much left in our swoosh. But what you can do is make sure that your swoosh is out in front, in front of the mat over here. And so let's do some easy swings where you roll the foot, lift the chair, turn and swoosh. So you're going to shift further this way, further this way, and try to put the swoosh exaggerated fashion out in front. So swoosh out in front. So that's very early. The swoosh sounded like it was down near the ball. So swoosh a little above the grass so we can hear it. Okay, that is too early. Slide down the chair, turn, and swoosh later. So what I'm looking for, that's way too normal. Show me something that's like a cartoon. Make it crazy, as much as humanly possible, swoosh late. Way better. But that feels like it's a large change to you. Yes. That's just should be normal. See you out in front with the swoosh more. Too early. There's not enough body movement in front of that swoosh. It's still not enough. Better, but still, again, show me a cartoon of this. Swoosh. Show me a cartoon. Yes. One more, way out in front, even more than those. Okay, so that's another thing, another way that you can approach it. Of course, that's reverse engineering it. You're hoping that by swooshing out in front, you'll get the body movements.
Yes.
Terrific, that's exactly how I'd want you to miss it, thin and right. 5.2 downward. So you can see what you're doing is you're moving the low point forward successfully by having more body action and better body action out in front of the swoosh or the strike. Keep at it. Terrific. I don't think I've ever worked on this before with someone who hasn't hit that shot a couple times. What's interesting to me is your clubhead speed seems to be a little bit higher for the amount of effort than you were at the beginning. So lift the chair. Very different flight there, huh? Uh-huh. That should be cutting somewhat. Okay, 180 carry. Only 1 foot of curve, and this time to the right. So well done. Now, you're not, just to reiterate to people, because a lot of people would be doing this, they'd be holding their hands. What you're doing, you're not holding your hands, you're still whipping. You're just whipping off of more of this.
Correct.
So that's it's better sequencing of the whipping action rather than intentionally either trying to pull the handle through or try to lag or hold the angle, but instead you're just inserting more good pivot action and turn out in front. That's 3 in a row. That actually, for the first time, to my ear, sounded like it was inside the sweet spot, towards the heel.
It was.
So we're getting away from the toe strikes as well. 6 in a row. Again, my ear is telling me that that's not in the toe, but maybe a dimple or two towards the heel.
Yes.
Okay, so check out your hip. So much better. Well, that's fantastic right there. It's better to gear down a little bit so you can feel the correct motion there. Again, we have an angle of attack that's further downwards because the low point is further ahead.
Yes.
You could feel the contact was as opposite as a drop kick as you could get. It was much cleaner.
Yes.
And the ball has almost no curve leftwards at all. The ball's right on target with no curve. Again, very close to being a straight ball. All right, just so to wrap this up, you can see how something as simple as a change in your foot action can dramatically change the way the rest of your body ends up positioning itself and how much rotation you can get into your chest. And that can affect your low point, can affect the curve of the ball, the path of the club. So sometimes it can be something very small. It can, if you're at home and you're feeling like everything's falling apart and you can't hit the ball anymore, most of the time it can be, you can isolate it down to one thing, one kind of simple thing. And if you have the right mental image or the right exercise, you can get out of it pretty quickly. And so now, knowing what you know now, the next time this might happen, you might even be able to make a mid-course adjustment from front 9 to even back 9 and come back and have a good back 9 if you feel like you're falling into the funk again.
Yes.
So thanks a lot for joining me. I hope everybody else out there got something good out of this, and hit the like button, leave him a comment, tell him how awesome his swing looks. All right, I'm Steve. Thanks for watching. As usual, I'll either see you in the next video or I'll see you longer and straighter down the fairway. Everybody take good care.